In the previous step, we got our background to start repeating. And as the background starts to repeat, we have several backgrounds that pop in over and over again. And once we start doing this, even with our bullets, you'll notice that our bullets just continue on and on and on. And what we want to do is we want to create an object that kills all of these or that destroys all of these so that we don't have several clones repeating. After a while, it's going to take up a lot of that space. So I'm going to go ahead and pause this. Coming into my prefabs, I need to fix my background first. Over on my background, I do not have a collider, and I want to go ahead and add in a box 2D, physics 2D, box collider 2D. And let's go ahead and just open up that prefab so we can see where that box collider is at. So the box collider went all the way around our prefab. I want to shrink that. So I'm going to take my X, leave it about the same to start with. There's my Y, and I'm just going to make it kind of small. And then I'm going to take and I'm going to make that size a little bit wider. So as things collide with this, they get killed. I am going to come back out of my prefab, go ahead and click save. Check the background that's in the scene, and it does have the background collider on it. I did forget, I want to move the background collider forward. So coming back down in here, what we're going to do is try and move it right to the end. So offset on the Y scale, and right about there looks pretty good. And I'm going to shrink the X scale a little bit. We don't need that collider to be very wide. I am now going to move it all the way to the bottom of this. Right about here looks pretty good. And now we're going to go back. We're going to click save. I want to check the background up here and just make sure the box collider is on it. So we're going to come up to the plus here, and we're going to create an empty object. And this empty object, we're going to call this our destroy object. This destroy object is going to be moved. The idea is to figure out where to put this. The easiest way to do that is to come to this background and click duplicate. Once I've duplicated it, I'm just going to raise it right above it just to kind of get an idea. And then I want to give this enough space so that it doesn't destroy this object. So coming back to my destroy object, I'm going to move it right above that. While I have this object there, I can add a couple components to it. I'm not going to delete this background yet. The first thing that I want to add to this is go to PlayGround, go to conditions, and we want condition area. So it's telling us it needs a collider. What type of collider should we add? I think a rectangle collider would probably be the best collider, and you can see that it dropped it in there. How big do I want that collider to be? Well, this is going to kill my lasers, my asteroids possibly. So I want this collider on the X scale to be pretty big. And we're just going to stretch it out something along that lines, and I can make it a little bit thinner. We don't need it to be very thick. The next thing is, what is the gameplay that we want to have happen? Click the plus. We want it to destroy. What do we want it to destroy? The object that's colliding with it. We don't need a death effect on any of this. And now, let's zoom back in. And now if I click play and we watch the bullet, if you watch the bullet, it's going to hit that background because we just added the collider. So coming to that prefab, let's check is trigger right here. So now that that is checked as is trigger, we have our destroy action with our destroy object. Let's try again. And once the bullet gets up here, it should disappear as you just saw. So I'm going to shoot a couple bullets so you can see them load in, and then they go away. We do need to duplicate this because we need one at the bottom. So how do we know where to put it at the bottom? I'm going to take the second background, and I'm just going to move it down here. I'm going to then come up to my destroy object, right click and duplicate it. And I want to label these a little bit. So I'm going to call this destroy object bottom, and this one will be destroy object top. Well, it's not going to let me click, so we'll come over here. On this destroy object bottom, I'm going to move it all the way to the end of this object. So when this hits that, it should go away. So let's click play and watch our background to be destroyed. What we want to make sure is that when the background is destroyed, that it is no longer in the scene. And that looks great. We're ready to add our asteroids in.